Talofa, everyone. Greetings to all our viewers today. Welcome back to another edition of our Laoso Aonga program. Greetings especially to our Year 13 students. Today's lesson is our Year 13 English lesson. It's a continuation from our previous lesson, which was on expository writing.
Now let's take a quick recap on what we learned in our previous episode. In our previous lesson, we learned what an expository essay is, the types of expository essays, steps in writing an expository essay, and we also got to write an expository essay sample, an introduction sample. Okay, for today's lesson, we will continue writing our expository essay. Our specific learning outcomes for today are, as listed on the screen, use statistics or facts as evidence to support your arguments. Our second learning outcome for today's lesson is link or sequence paragraphs for coherence of the writing piece. And the last one, we will discuss issues in depth with quality ideas that are well connected. And these will all be done in our essay writing, our writing samples that we are going to write for today's lesson. So basically for today's lesson, we will be focusing on how to construct the body and conclusion of our expository essay. The last part of this lesson, we will be looking at our scoring rubric for rubrics for expository writing to familiarize ourselves on what we are expected in our essay writings. Okay. Now, in our previous lesson, I had already written for us a sample introduction. I also asked you to write your own introduction for one of the topics given. I hope you had time to practice writing your introductions, because the more you practice, the easier it will get. Now, we are going to have a quick look at our introduction again to remind us what our essay is about. The topic that we chose was social media has a negative impact on youth today. Social media has a negative impact on youth today. Now, this is the introduction that we wrote in our previous episode. We are not going to read through our introduction, but looking at our introduction, there are two important things that we need to identify, which will help us write the body and conclusion of our essay. All right. That is the introduction that the sample introduction that I wrote for us in our previous lesson, as you see on your screen, shown on your screen now. Okay, let's have a look at the breakdown so we can see the parts of our introduction. It is important that you know your position as stated in here. So as you see on the screen, I decided to agree with our chosen topic. Now, the topic is social media has a negative impact on youth today. As you can see, these are the breakdowns that we went through in our previous lesson. And in this last part, as you see in green, I introduced our points of discussion that we will need for our body paragraphs. So these two are very important. We need to know our position, and also we need to look at our points so that we can write our body paragraphs. All right. Now, remember our 5-paragraph structure that we talked about? Yes? Okay. As you see on the screen, we have our introduction, is our very first paragraph, which we have already done. Second paragraph is your first point of argument. Third paragraph is the second point of argument. Fourth is the third point of argument. And our last paragraph is our conclusion. Now, we've already done our introduction. We will now move on to writing our body paragraphs and conclusion. There are so many strategies that people use to write their body paragraphs. Your teachers probably have their own strategies, and that is totally fine as long as it helps you put together what you need in your paragraph, all right? Okay, now, like I said before, there are many strategies that people use to write body paragraphs. Now, the following are some of the common methods that we use in our classrooms. Okay, as you see on the screen, we have the G method. Now, this method is in our yellow textbooks from the ministry. Some of you may be familiar with this method. G stands for general statement, E, explain, and E for examples. Now, this is one of the most common methods that our schools are using to write the paragraphs. Now, on the right side, we have the Curd method. The Curd method is actually one of the methods that is used in our foundation level at university, NUS. So C stands for coherence, U for unity, R for relevance of ideas, and D is focuses on the development of your ideas in your paragraph. The third one on the bottom left corner is the Teak method. This is also another common paragraph writing strategies that students use and teachers as well. T stands for topic sentence. E is where you explain your point, and then the second E is where you provide the examples, and the last sentence in your paragraph is usually the concluding sentence. Now, this is also another easy strategy that you can use for your paragraph writing. And the last one I've put up here is the Pearl method, where you first you state your point, and then you explain and provide examples. And the R stands for relevance. You have to make sure that your points and your examples are relevant to the topic as well as your point that you are discussing. And the last part there is link, which refers to how well you link your ideas in your paragraph. All right, now it is really up to you which one you wish to use to write your paragraphs, as long as you understand the details that need to be included for a constructive paragraph. Some may say this strategy is better than the other, and we can spend all day debating on that, but let's choose one strategy that we will focus on today's lesson. All right, now I'm going to choose the Teak method for today's lesson. Now, just because I have chosen this method, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is better than the others. All right. So before we go ahead and write our body paragraph samples, we need to look at transition words that can help us with cohesion of our essay. Now, what are transition words again? Transition words, also known as linking words, are words or phrases that are used to show the relationship between paragraphs or sections of a text or speech. Using transition words provides better cohesion by making it more explicit, showing how one idea relates to another. Now, what is cohesion? Okay, when we talk about cohesion, it refers to the logical flow and connection in a written text and is achieved through the use of devices or transition words to link sentences together so that there is a logical flow between ideas from one sentence to the next. Examples of cohesion words that we normally use are, firstly, as you see on the screen, secondly, thirdly, lastly, etc. And we also have although, as a result, therefore. These are common words that we use in our essay writings, and these are called cohesion words or transitions. Now, listed in the table shown on your screen are examples of transition words used for different purposes. The first column, as you see here, we have the transition words that are used to add an idea, and these are examples. And, furthermore, besides, finally, in addition, again, equally important, etc. Okay, we also have transition words that are used to compare points. So if you are comparing points in your paragraph or in your essay, you can use the transitions shown on the screen. However, in contrast, although, nevertheless, meanwhile, and etc. And then we have transition words that are used to prove a theory. So you can use because, in any case, moreover, evidently, obviously, indeed. These are some of the transitions that you can use. Next, we have transitions to show exceptions. Now, these transitions you can use especially when you are writing your counter argument. Now remember, we have in our expository essays, you are advised to have a counter argument, especially when you use essays such as expository essays, such as the contrast and compare and contrast, and other types of essays, expository essays. You can use these transition words in your paragraphs, such as nevertheless, however, in spite of, sometimes, of course, yet, and etc. So you can choose from these. You can use as many as you want in your paragraphs. The next one we have to give examples. If you want to give examples in your essay, you can use these transitions. For example, for instance, to illustrate, to demonstrate, and etc. as you see in on the list. Some of the transitions you can see on the screen here, you can use when you want to show sequence, a sequence of events. You can use first of all, secondly, second, third, and etc. If you are explaining something in sequence or a sequence of events. Lastly, I've got transitions that you can use for your conclusion. To start off your conclusion, you can use to conclude, in conclusion, finally, on the whole, summarizing, etc. So these are not the only transitions that we have. There are many more transition words that you can choose from. Now, let me show you why it is important to use transition words in your writings. Now look at the paragraph given on the board, on your screen. I have not included any transitions. Let me read it out for you. I'm going to discuss a few reasons why practice is important to learning skills. The only way to truly master a skill is by actually doing what you'll have to do in the real world. I think practice can be a fun way of putting in the necessary hours. There are some people who will disagree. It is said that people tend to remember only 10 to 20% of what they've heard or read. That number rises to as much as 90% when you put theory to practice. Following up explanation with practice is key to mastering a skill. Now look at the same paragraph with the transitions added to it. Can you read it and see the difference between this one and the previous one? Let's read it together. In this paragraph, now I've added these transition words, as you can see highlighted in red. In this paragraph, I'm going to discuss a few reasons why practice is important to mastering skills. Firstly, the only way to truly learn a skill is by actually doing what you'll have to do in the real world. Secondly, I think practice can be a fun way of putting in the necessary hours. There are, however, some people who will disagree. Thirdly, and most importantly, it is said that people tend to remember only 10 to 20% of what they read or hear. Moreover, that number rises to as much as 90% when you put theory to practice. In conclusion, following up explanation with practice is key to mastering a skill. All right, if we look at the two paragraphs shown on the screen, I hope you can see why it is important to use transition words for better coherence of your writing. All right, let's have a look at our plan from our previous lesson, again for our essay writing. Now, this is the plan that we had in our previous lesson. Our topic is shown in green. Social media has a negative impact on our youth today, and we have 3 points that we are going to write our essay on. Our first point here is the distraction on youth, and the second one is being exposed to violent content and inappropriate content. And the last one, which is supposed to be our counter argument, is social media has a positive side where youth are aware of social issues. Now, I have already written our introduction for our expository essay in our previous lesson. Now we're going to write a sample body paragraph for our topic, which is social media has a negative impact on our youth today. Our first point is distraction. Now, remember our paragraph writing strategies that we discussed? Well, we are going to use the TEAK strategy. Like I said before, T stands for topic sentence, E for explain, the second E is examples, and the C is providing a concluding sentence. This strategy is very simple to follow. If you are one of those students who still struggle to write a paragraph, you can use this strategy to help you write better structured paragraphs. Now, let's start writing our body paragraph. Let's have a look at our sample paragraph for our chosen topic. Now, I've written this sample paragraph using our TEAK strategy. All right, look at our screen. I'm going to read out our sample body paragraph. Remember, I used the TEAK method, which I will be identifying later on. The different parts. Keep in mind our first point is distraction. Now, I'm going to read it out. First and foremost, social media has been a huge distraction to our young people everywhere. It has undoubtedly impacted our young people's education. Many of our youngsters would much rather spend time scrolling through Facebook, posting pictures, statuses, commenting on people's posts, taking TikTok videos, updating their YouTube channels rather than spending time to read a book, do studies, or etc. In most countries like Samoa, cell phones and other devices as such are now banned in most schools because of the distraction these can cause to students. Likewise, in our families, many youth prefer to spend time alone in their rooms on their cell phones to chat with friends rather than spending time with family members. And it does not help when the parents also are addicted to social media. Social media apps have stolen much of our family time and turned them into social media time. Furthermore, distraction from social media is also seen in churches. While the pastor is preaching, some of our young people are texting each other or even taking selfies in church to post on Instagram or Facebook. Social media has been a huge disturbance almost everywhere for our young people. As you can see, highlighted in red is our topic sentence. Remember our TEAK strategy? T stands for topic sentence. In blue, we have our explanation. E for explain. In green, we have our examples to support our topic sentence. And in pink, we have our concluding sentence. All right, class. Because we don't have enough time to write all our body paragraphs, I will let you finish off writing those body paragraphs for me. You can use the strategy that I have used today, or you can choose one that you understand well and go ahead and start writing our last 2 body paragraphs. But let's move on to the next part of our lesson, which is writing a conclusion. Now, what is a conclusion again? It is the final part of your essay or final paragraph. It usually contains the summary of your work or your points. Now, how do we structure our conclusion paragraph? Well, I have a very simple way of writing a conclusion. Below are simple steps to write your conclusion paragraph. Step number 1, paraphrase topic again. Step number 2, summarize your points. And step number 3, reinforce position and provide recommendations or solutions. Now let's have a look at our sample conclusion that I have written for us. All right, I'm going to read it out. To conclude, there is absolutely no doubt social media has highly influenced our youth nowadays. It has become a major distraction to their education, in their families, churches, etc. Furthermore, social media has been a way to expose youth to inappropriate content such as violence, sexual abuse, and more. It has been the cause of school violence, family feuds, and etc. Despite the many negative impacts of social media, there is no doubt that it also has its positive effects, such as easier awareness of what is happening not only in Samoa but around the world. Social media has definitely impacted our young people unfavorably despite its good effects. Therefore, parents and guardians need to monitor their youngsters closely when given access to any social media platform to ensure that they are not exposed to any inappropriate content and their education is not affected. Okay, as you can see on the screen, highlighted in blue, I have paraphrased our topic. Highlighted in purple is a short summary of the 3 points discussed in the essay. Now our 3 points here: distraction, and we have exposure to inappropriate content. And the last point is our counter argument, which is easier awareness of what is happening around the world and also in Samoa. And in red, we have our, I've reiterated our position, which is agreeing on the topic that social media does have negative effects on youth, and also provided here, I've provided a recommendation or a solution for the issue discussed. Okay, so those are the 3 main parts, main steps in writing our conclusion for today's lesson. All right, now that we have covered all 3 parts of our all 3 main parts of our expository essay, we've already covered our introduction. We've also written our body paragraph. And lastly, we've covered our conclusion paragraph for our chosen topic. Now, the very last part of this lesson, we are going to go through our scoring rubrics. Now, have a look at the scoring rubrics shown on the screen. I am sure you have seen this rubrics or something similar before. The scoring rubrics, also known as the marking criteria, is used to guide teachers and students on where scores or marks are awarded in your essay. Okay, now let's look closely at our scoring rubrics. We will quickly go through the important parts of the rubrics to ensure we are clear of what you are expected when writing an expository essay. Now, I am sorry if it's not clear, but please move closer to the screen so you can see the different parts of our rubrics. Okay, so this, a reminder, this scoring rubrics is also used during our, when marking our expository essays for our national exams. So it's very important that you have a look at it and familiarize yourself with the different learning outcomes that you are expected to cover in your expository essay. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 learning outcomes altogether. As you can see, if you can see my the mouse, you can see that on this column we have the learning outcomes. Now there are 3 skill level 1 learning outcomes. There are 3 skill level 2 learning outcomes. There are 3 skill level 3 learning outcomes and 1 skill level 4 learning outcome. Okay, let's have a look at learning outcome number 1. Our first learning outcome is a skill level 1, which states topic. So as long as you provide the topic, a relevant topic, then you are awarded 1 mark or 1 score. So please make sure you provide a topic. Sometimes the topics are listed and you tend to forget to write your topic, but you are missing out on 1 point there. So make sure you write your topic so you can get 1 mark. Okay, next one, we have the reason for interest or position. Okay, this part of our rubrics, you are expected to indicate in your introduction the reason why you chose the topic, and also you need to indicate in your introduction your position, whether you agree or disagree with the topic. And these can be, as you can see over here, these can be implied or stated. So you can state that the reason, or it can also be implied, meaning you can show in what you have written in your introduction the reason why it can be shown in your introduction why you have chosen the topic. Now, our third skill level 1 is the definition. Now, this part you are required to define a main concept from your topic. Now, as we have done in our sample introduction that we have written, we defined what social media was. So whatever the you can have one or more major concepts in your topic, but you can choose one or two to define. As long as you define a main concept, you will be awarded 1 mark or 1 score. Okay. Our second learning outcome is a skill level 2, and it's called mechanical control. Now, this part of your essay, you will be marked on the range of punctuations that you use correctly, and also the range of vocabulary. So if the scorer or if the teacher sees that you've used a wide range of punctuations and you also use a range of vocabulary, you can be awarded 2 marks or 2 scores. If you use punctuations but very little, and also you use very limited vocabulary, yeah, you can be awarded 1 score, 1 mark. But if your punctuations or vocabulary is very poor, then you will be awarded a 0 score. Okay. The next learning outcome is the sentence structure. Now, the sentence structure mainly focuses on the grammar. Okay, the structure of your sentences. If most of your sentences are structured correctly, you can get 2 marks. If some of your sentences are structured correctly, and then you have some that are incorrect, then you can be awarded one score. But if your sentence structures are predominantly poor, then you will be awarded 0 score. Okay, so our third skill level 2 here is the use of evidence. Now, this is where you will be marked on the use of evidence, or it can be statistics or relevant examples to support your arguments within the whole essay. So we will be looking we'll be looking at how many examples or evidences that you use within the whole essay. If you use 2 or more, you can be awarded the two scores. If you use 1, then you'll be awarded 1 score. But if throughout your whole essay you don't use any evidences, then you won't get a score from this part. Okay. Now, moving on to our skill level 3, the cohesion. The first one is cohesion, which we covered in this lesson. Now, this part will be you will be marked at how well your ideas are connected from one paragraph to another, how well you link your paragraph to the next one and the next one, and using transition words as we discussed in this lesson. And also how well your ideas within your paragraphs are linked using linking words or transition words. Okay, so if you throughout your essay you make use of our transition words as much as you can, and they are well linked, your points are well linked, your paragraphs are well linked, then you can get skill level three scores from that. And so the same goes with the skill level 2. If you use transition words but you don't use as much as expected, then you would get 2 marks or 2 scores. And same when if you within your essay you use very limited linking words or transition words, then you will be awarded 1 score, 1 mark. But if throughout your entire essay you do not use any transition words, and you also fail to put your writing into paragraphs, so your essay is just one whole paragraph, no paragraphing, then you will be awarded 0 points for this part. Okay. Now, moving on to the next skill level 3, which is reasons for interest. Now, for this part, we are looking at reasons for interest in each of the issues being discussed. And so we are looking at each, especially within each body paragraphs. So you have to have reasons for interest in each body paragraphs on the points that you are discussing. So if you do that very well, you provide reasons for interest in each issues, then you will be awarded 3 marks. If you provide only 2 reason statements, then you will be awarded 2 marks. And if you provide 1, you will be awarded 1 mark. And if throughout your entire essay you don't provide any reason statement or any issues to discuss, then you will be awarded 0 marks. Okay, moving on to the last skill level 3, which is supporting data or information. Now this part is very similar to our it's very similar to our use of evidence here in skill level 2, but the use of evidence in skill level 2, we are looking at the essay as a whole, but for this part we are looking at how much information, how much supporting data that you provide to support your paragraphs or your points, each of your points. Now, if you provide 3 or more supporting information to back up your ideas for each paragraph, then you can get 3 marks from that. If you provide 1 or 2 supporting information for each idea, then you will get 2 marks from that. And same with skill level 1, you provide just 1 or no relevant idea or supporting idea, then you get 1 mark for that. But if there is no relevant or supporting information provided, then you get 0. Okay, so the last part of our rubrics is the quality of ideas. Now, this part you are tested on how relevant, how strong your points of arguments are. Now, if you have an in-depth discussion of quality ideas, of at least 3 relevant ideas, then and provide relevant examples, then you can be awarded with 4, a skill level 4 or 4 marks. If you provide 2 or 3 ideas, and there is evidence and logic in your presentation indicating that you've made a relation between your ideas and arguments, and you've provided examples, but not enough examples, you can get a level 3 here for quality of ideas. Now for a skill level 2, if you provide 2 or 3 ideas and they are not well linked or logically related, you don't provide enough examples, then your quality of ideas, you can be awarded 2 marks or 2 scores. If you present just one idea and it is not much related to your topic, then you can get skill level 1 or 1 mark. But if your essay provides ideas that are irrelevant or totally not relevant to the topic, then you will not be awarded a mark for quality of ideas.
And that is the end of our lesson for today. I hope you have learned something from our lesson today. Stay tuned for our next lesson, which will be on response to literature. But for now, Tofase 4.